See if it takes as long as it did last time.
Should have done some
All right.
push-ups to...
What's happening? This is North American Dogman Project. It's Halloween, and this is our live stream podcast here. Tonight is what we're going to do is we're going to have some eyewitnesses call in and share some stories with us, encounters that they've had. We may even have some of our directors and state representatives call in to do updates on Dogman sightings. What we want to let people know, we know there's people out there that have no idea what a Dogman is. Check out the podcast prior to this one, because we definitely spent 2 hours trying to figure out what a Dogman actually is. But we want to let people know that it is Halloween, and it's trick-or-treating and ghouls and ghosts and that stuff. But what we do is very serious. Great. No, but what we do is very serious. We take these cases extremely serious. There are people out there all over the world, not just the United States, not just North America. They're everywhere, and they're encountering these animals, these creatures. We have no idea what they are, but it's absolutely terrifying. You can forget about Jason and Freddy. You're not going to find that kind of stuff here. What's happening here is real. It's terrifying, and it's somebody's got to help them, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do here. So, you guys have any comments or anything you'd like to say before we do have our first guest, who's from Ohio, and he's going to call in here in just a second.
Yeah, if you guys have an encounter or a story you want to share with us, we'll go ahead and put the number in on the chat line there, and feel free, please give us a call. Tell us your story, tell us your encounter. It doesn't matter if it's something that a family member told you or a friend told you, or something you might have read about or something like that. Feel free to tell us anything spooky and scary. Let's make the night fun.
All right. So, is there anything you got?
No.
You sure? Ready for it?
Let's do it. I want the creepy, scary. Let's do it.
All right, brother, you ready? Okay, let me bring Mike on. All right, Mike, you there, bud?
Yeah.
Okay, you're on the air. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. My name's Mike. I live in Germantown. I pretty much grew up here, Germantown, Ohio. When you hear stories about the Germantown werewolf, the Butter Street monster, and occasionally the Ohio Grassman, I'm pretty much right smack in the area where most of that stuff happens. Me and some of my buddies, there was one night I think I was about probably 19, maybe 20 years old. I'm in my 40s now, so this was quite a while ago that this happened to me. We were out driving around, and Anthony Road is right out by where we live, and one of the team members for you guys, I think is Adam Davis, I think is his last name. I was listening one time where he was telling a story about where he had an encounter out on Anthony Road, and at the time that we had our encounter, I had never heard of Dogman, didn't know what it was. And what happened was we were out driving around, and I kind of have to tell you I kind of had to tell a backstory to explain why we were out there that night with guns. Some friends of my younger cousin, her friends, they were out driving around on Anthony Road one night, and it was during the summertime, late fall, when the corn was up pretty high. And Anthony Road, it's a really small, narrow road. It's not paved. It's gravel and dirt. And all it is just an old country road that connects one road to another, and there's not even a house on that road. I think there used to be one, but I think they tore it down, and that's where Jackson Township now has their training facility and their firearm range, I think. But they were out there one night, and they come around a corner, and like I said, the corn was real high, and it's a real narrow road. There's trees on one side, and then a creek, and then on the other side of you, there's cornfield. And you don't have enough room to turn around on that road, and it's kind of hard for two cars to even pass each other. You kind of have to pull off the road a little bit to go around each other. Right. So they come around a bend, and there's a guy laying in the road sideways. So they stop. They're freaking out. It's a car full of young teenage girls, so they don't know what to do. So they sit there for a minute, and then they decide, well, we can't go around the guy because the road's not wide enough. So they put the car in reverse to start trying to back up. Once they did that, the guy jumped up and started chasing after the car, and then other people came out of the cornfield and started trying to open the car doors on them. So then they really panicked. They threw it in drive and took off, and the guy coming at him, he had to jump out of the way, obviously. So they get back to the house and they tell us about it. So ever since then, when we would go out that area, we would always take guns with us. We grew up in a small farm town. Germantown's a community, I would think like maybe 5,000 people, maybe 6,000. So all of us were like farm town guys. We grew up running around in the woods, hunting, carrying guns. So we went out there, and it was me and I think it was 4 other guys. I know it was at least 3. And 2 other guys had pistols on them. And I wasn't 21 yet, so I couldn't legally own a handgun, so I had a shotgun. Well, so we go out there one night with the intention of finding a field, and we had some beer with us. We were going to go drink some beer in the middle of a field, because when you grow up out in the middle of nowhere, that's kind of one of the things you do. In retrospect, having guns and alcohol was at a young age was a stupid thing to do, but we were kids, and that's what we did. So we're driving down the road. We're driving down Anthony Road, and we're looking for a good place to pull off the road and park and just go sit in the middle of a field. And we see a field like off to the side where the mouth of it opens up, where the farm equipment would pull in. And it was a pretty good sized field. It was probably 3 or 4 football fields in size. And it was kind of like just a big square area. And it was surrounded by trees all the way around it, a nice thick tree line. So we decided, you know what, that's a really cool looking spot. We'll park and we'll go to the middle of that field. And I don't want to sound cliche, but it was a really bright moon that night. I can't remember if it was a full moon, but it was really bright. And there was also really heavy fog on the ground, probably about shin high. So the moonlight's bouncing down, it's reflecting off the fog, and it was a really cool looking night. Like, I mean, it would be like one of those things you see in a typical cliche Hollywood movie, the full moonlight and the fog on the ground. So we park the cars, we walk into the mouth of the field. And I remember saying, you know, hey, let's all just stand here for a minute and listen for any cars coming or any other people or anything. So we did that, and you could hear cars coming from miles around because it is so quiet out there. I mean, there's nothing but just woodland and fields. So we don't hear anything. So we start to walk into the field, and one of us notices on the right-hand side along the tree line, about 150 yards out, there's something along the edge of the field by the tree line, and it looked like a big giant boulder or a really huge tree stump or a big giant bush. And we're looking at it and we're like, man, what is that? And we're like kind of looking at it and we're talking like kind of in whispered tones and stuff. We're like, man, that's not a bush. That's not a tree. What the heck is it? So after a minute or two, we think, okay, well, it's nothing. We're just being stupid. So we quit paying attention to it, and we start walking into the field the rest of the way. And I remember one of my buddies was like, dude, where's that thing at that was over there on the tree line? It's not there anymore. So we all start looking over that direction, and we're looking for it, thinking, okay, well, it was right there. And then like we notice, okay, yep, nope, it ain't there no more. And then we notice running from right to left, it runs right to the middle of the field. I would say it was probably 4 foot tall, if not taller. And I'm kind of probably being conservative in my estimations because I don't want to over embellish and exaggerate. But we seen something running right in front of us from right to left to the middle of the field. And it looked like it was kind of built like almost like a pit bull or a bulldog, where it's got the really big upper body, big broad shoulders, and then the narrow tapered waist, and then like the not really small legs, but like a small lower body compared to its upper body. And it was running kind of like a cheetah would run, or like a greyhound dog. It was reaching out with these really long forelimbs, and it was kind of like grabbing the ground, for lack of a better way of putting it, and jerking itself forward and then springing forward. And then it would plant its hind haunches and spring forward again. And I'm pretty familiar with just about every animal in North America. I grew up in the woods. I don't get spooked in the woods at night like some people do. I don't know what this thing was, but it was the size of, it looked like it was the size of a small pony, but it was running so fast. It was doing at least 50, 60 miles an hour, if not more. It gets to the middle of the field and it turns on a dime. Like I don't know how something that big and that much mass and weight was able to turn as sharply as it did, but it turns and like directly toward us. And it turned so sharp, at first we thought it came to a dead stop. And then after a second, you kind of notice, nope, it's still moving. I can't tell what it's doing, but it's not standing still, but it was no longer running from side to side. Then we notice, no, wait a minute, that thing is actually coming toward us now. So we're looking at it and we're all talking amongst ourselves. One guy would be like, man, that's a dog. And someone would be like, no, dude, that ain't no dog. And we're kind of like trying to figure out what it is. And in my own mind, I'm like, okay, what is that? That's not a dog. That's not a wolf. That ain't a big cat. Didn't know what it was, but I knew what it wasn't. And it's coming toward us. And I had a 12-gauge shotgun. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I know I can't really shoot it from here because the shot of my butt, I had buckshot in my shotgun. And I knew it would spread too much before it hit the target and I wouldn't get all of my pellets on target. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I've got enough sense. I'm not going to like empty my gun at it before it gets within range. So I'm thinking I'll at least get a bead on it because I'm thinking this thing's moving so fast, it can overtake us really quickly. So I raised my gun to get a bead on this thing. And when I did that, it started to zigzag back and forth like it knew what a gun was. My other buddies raised their guns at it, and to be honest with you, I can't remember if I was the one that aimed my weapon at it first or if they did, but I noticed that once I started pointing a gun at it, I kind of out of my peripheral vision, I could see that my other two buddies were pointing pistols at it, and it's coming at us, and it's zigzagging so fast that it almost looked like you couldn't see the movement of it going from side to side. It was almost like it would appear in one spot and then almost like it would like teleport 10 feet over to the side in the other spot. And it started doing that. And I'm looking at it and I remember thinking to myself, that thing's moving so fast. I have to let it get almost right on me before I try and shoot it. And obviously I didn't like the idea of that tactically. And then I start thinking to myself, dude, that thing knows what a gun is. And at that point, that's when I got a little creeped out. I wasn't even like nervous or scared at this point, not scared per se. I'm just trying to assess the situation, identify what it is that's coming at us, and thinking in my head, okay, how are you going to deal with this situation? And then when it starts getting close enough to us and doing that zigzag movement, I'm thinking, okay, this thing's moving so fast, I might not even be able to shoot it. And then it dawns on me that this thing knows what a gun is. And I remember saying to my buddies, man, that thing knows we're pointing guns at it. And about that time, we decide to break contact. So we turn around and start running for the cars. And we're running to the car, and I'm thinking in my head, okay, like make sure, okay, you got your thumb on your safety's engaged. Don't sweep anybody with the muzzle of your gun. Like this is all the stuff I'm thinking in my head as we're running away. And I hear my buddy. He's like, Mike, don't leave me. And now my buddy, he's like, at the time, he was like a 300-pound guy. And I'm like, dude, you better hurry up. And I'm thinking he's just moving slower than everybody else. And he's scared because he's the last one. You don't have to outrun a bear. You just got to outrun the other guy that's with you. That whole story. I'm thinking you better run. And then I'm still going. He's like, I can't. And I'm thinking, okay, why the heck can't you run? And I'm like, dude, go. And he says something like my foot's stuck or like I'm stuck or something like that. And I look over my shoulder and he's on the ground. I didn't know it at the time, but he stepped in like a groundhog or gopher hole and got his foot stuck in there and couldn't get it out. So now here's what's weird about it. You hear all these people talk about how like Dogman doesn't kill people or actually really physically attack people. A lot of times it just wants to scare you.
Right.
When I turn around and I see my buddy like on the ground, I'm like, I got to get my friend. So I take off toward him to get him. And I'm kind of like focusing on him. Like my objective is get your buddy on his feet. You know, we got to get out of the area. I don't remember seeing the thing that was after us when I turned around to go back to get him. When I get him up on his feet, we get back to the cars, we get in the cars, and we start to take off. And the way the road, kind of how it sits by the field, the road kind of departs at like a 45-degree angle. So, and then we had two cars that night, and we get in the cars and we take off. And as we're going down the road, Anthony Road, it's a gravel road, so you can't really accelerate as fast as possible because you're going to spin out. You might go sideways, and God forbid you run off the road. Now you can't get away. So we're like trying to get away from this thing as fast as we can. And I remember being in the back seat, and I remember looking out the back window and I see it chasing the cars. And it was actually gaining on us. And that was when I could actually get the best view. That's when it was like closest to us and I could get the best view of it. And the mechanics of the way it ran, again, it was kind of like a cheetah, except it was, the body shape was kind of like the video you see, what is it? The video for the Michigan Dogman, the one that everybody ended up saying was a hoax.
Right.
What was that?
No, we were saying, yeah,
We're agreeing with you on that.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the video, but you guys know the one I'm talking about. Like, that's kind of how it was
Yep,
built.
it's
Like,
the,
it had like that
yeah,
big
gable
gorilla
code.
upper body.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was gaining on the car. And I remember just looking at it and thinking, like, how can something that big move that fast? And then we get over that little bridge there on Anthony Road, and we get on the paved road, and we get away. And we go back to the house and we're hanging out, and we talked about it for a little bit. And then shortly after that, like, I moved away from Germantown, and like we all just kind of grew up and quit hanging out together and stuff. But that's what happened to us. I can't say, yeah, there's a bipedal canine out there running around and I've seen it. I can't say that, but I'll tell you what I can say. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. Jesus is my homeboy. And I would swear on a stack of Bibles that I seen something that night that defies logic for any known animal on planet Earth. Is the size that it was and the speed that it moved at, and the fact that it started to zigzag when we pointed guns at it. There's something out there.
And when we went out there,
Yeah.
I met Mike, and we went out there and we drove some of those roads. He did not want to be out there after dark. He did not want to be driving those roads. I mean, there was a genuine fear that I picked up right away. I mean, in that parking lot, everything was cool. And I was like, hey, you want to take a drive? Turn the dash cam on and, retrace some of the area there. And yeah, there was a genuine fear that I picked up right away, to the point where it was making me scared, or his fear was certain. And driving around slow with the windows down and listening was, it was an interesting experience. Hey, when it was behind you, did you see glowing eyes, teeth, claws? Did you see anything like that?
I didn't. The stereotypical, like, self-illuminated eyes, I did not see that. I couldn't see ears on top of its head, and I didn't see a tail. The best I could see was just the overall shape of the body, and some of the movement, like how it was moving, like its shoulders and its back, and like how it was like lurching forward as it ran. Thankfully, it never got close enough to us for me to really be able to see the good details of it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm glad I didn't, because some of the stories I've heard, to hear people tell, I would have PTSD if I seen what some other people have said they've seen.
You were damn close. You were real close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were close enough to where it was. I will say that the adrenaline factor and the pucker factor was pretty high that night.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And the other reason why I'm kind of a little bit gun shy about going out there is I live like less than 10 minutes by car from Anthony Road. I live out on Jamaica Road, which is where one of the areas where everybody says they see another thing called the Butter Street Monster.
Right.
And I've heard those stories about how these, they've got higher intelligence or something, to where if you go out and you encounter one, you start seeing them more and more often, and they even will follow you home sometimes. Where I live at, my closest neighbor is about 300 yards away. We shoot guns out here. My neighbors do. If you're in the house and one of the other guys is outside shooting in his yard, you don't hear it. I'm out here by myself. I have no backup. Like, it's just me. So I do get a little bit nervous, like at night and stuff, thinking about Dogman. And when I go to step outside my door at night, like, I'll stop for a minute and I'll listen, and I'll make sure that I can hear crickets. And I got some like barn cats that hang out that I feed and stuff. And I'll like look for the cats, and I'll get like a visual on them to make sure they're hanging out and not acting weird before I step outside at night.
Right. It changes your life, doesn't it? Changes everything.
It does. It definitely changes everything. It makes you realize that we are not the top predator, the alpha predator of planet Earth. We're actually very soft creatures. When you take away our technical ability, like guns, knives, swords, spears, things like that, we're such easy prey. It's ridiculous. And the thing that I've seen, I don't even know if 5 shots out of a shotgun would bring it down, to be honest with you.
Right.
It's crazy.
Man. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing that, dude.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for going out there with me that night.
Yeah, keep me on speed dial. And of course, he's now with the NADP as well. So yeah, you're right here with us. So anytime you hear anything,
Yeah.
Of course, because we already know, but
Pretty
yeah,
intense.
just give us a call because everything's getting better and more organized. So we're good to go.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you having said that about I can't remember what made me think of it, but like there's been a few people on Facebook, like after I posted about it, the Germantown werewolf, there was a few people that would message me and be like, dude, what'd you see? And like they would never comment publicly, like on the post, like about like, oh yeah, dude, like I seen this, or like, yeah, I heard my buddy telling a story about that. Like they keep tight-lipped about it, like, but they'll ask me like in private, dude, what'd you see? And I'm like, oh, we've seen this, that, or the other. I'm like, just like I said on the public post. And they were like, well, what did it look like? And they'll start asking me questions, and I'm thinking, yeah, you've seen something too. You just don't want to say anything. So there's a few people around here that I know have had some kind of encounter. They just, I don't know why they don't want to tell it. I mean, I don't care to tell it. If you want to make fun of me, that's fine. Go right ahead. But I know what I've seen. There is something out there.
We agree. We've been out there. We've been at some of the eateries and the gas station, the local watering holes. We know people that live out there, and they're all, they have an ear to the ground, but some of the people that have lived out there said, no, people never talk about this. So hopefully we can, make enough of a good impression out there where people trust us and they come out of the woodwork and start telling us the real story. There's a whole lot more going on out there. So
That'd be nice.
Definitely.
all right, brother. Well, we are going to move to, we've got another caller calling in from Utah.
Okay, cool.
I'll talk to you real soon. All right.
All right, buddy.
All right, brother.
Thanks.
See you Saturday.
Take care, brother.
All right.
Later.
Bye.
All right.
Also, a side note, you want her to call back in?
Yeah, I told her to go ahead and call back in.
Side note, SuperCon this weekend, Post Town School in Middletown, Ohio. We'll be there all day Saturday. It's a lot of cool things going on. If you like paranormal stuff, you like ghost hunting. Dalen Spratt from the Ghost Brothers. We know him from Scarefest. We met him. Good dudes, man. The Ghost Brother guys are great.
This is her.
Here we go. Next caller.
Hello? This is North American Dogman Project. Hi. Giselle?
We're the front office.
Yes, hi.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm really good, thanks. How are you?
Doing really good. Really good. Glad you called in. Would love to hear you go back over the story that we talked about when we first got in contact about the stuff that was going on your property out there. And real quick, I want to ask you, how far are you from the Skinwalker Ranch?
Well, I'm about, if you were to drive, I'm about a 3-hour drive.
About 3 hours?
But I think if you were to draw a straight line, I'd probably be closer.
Okay.
Are you near the Uintah Basin?
Yes.
So you're very close to that, in further north?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Skinwalker Ranch is down by Fort Duchesne.
Right.
There's a lake down there, and there's
yeah.
But that whole area is just unbelievable.
A lot of activity going on out there.
It is a lot. It is very, let's see, about 9 years ago, I think I mentioned to you that I had lived about an hour and a half away from the Skinwalker Ranch. And I just recently found out about the Skinwalker Ranch. I had no idea that it existed, but living an hour and a half away, I rented a place for a year where we actually, my entire family just basically ran for our lives because of the paranormal activity and the, mutilation threat that my horses were under. And so that took us further, we went far from there, and I thought that was far enough, but evidently not as of recent events. So yeah.
Yeah, it seems like, it doesn't matter, where you are in Utah. It's just there's something weird going on. It's just whatever was into Skinwalker Ranch kind of expanded out across the state.
Yeah.
It seems like it's, everybody's having, mutilations going on with their animals. They're seeing the canine. They're seeing, Bigfoot. They're seeing, lights in the skies. A lot of different supernatural and paranormal stuff that's going on in people's homes and on their property. It's it's weird, some of the stuff that's going on. But could you go and tell us about what's been going on your ranch, the kind of stuff that's been happening?
And I have to just interject something. I mean, I'm highly sensitive. I'm an empath. I do energy healing, and I thought, I'm no stranger to the paranormal at all.
Right.
But the experience I had 9 years ago, it wasn't because I was sensitive. It was definitely an attack on my stallions. So when we left there, things have not changed as far as the level of paranormal activity, but it's just in a different scope where it felt very more Native American, more nature spirits and that sort of thing.
Right.
And so I'd had a relationship with the nature spirits here because we were kind of initiated as to what we were doing here. But in that 9 years, we sort of struck a truce with the beings here and had been living very harmoniously and very peacefully until as of last September. Well, and a little bit before, we were getting little bouts of things that I could just sense and feel, and we were experiencing, my horses most definitely, that things were kicking up and stirring up, and something as of late is really causing a shift where it almost feels like the ground is shaking and there's things that are coming up. But as of September, getting specific to what happened the past couple of months, I was outside. Just, I have a ranch of mares and stallions where we breed horses, and we have a ranch that is nestled up in the mountains. We're completely surrounded by mountains, and so we live very kind of secluded. Our neighbors, they have 50 acres. We're on the small acres, like 15, and so there's other acres like 30 acres, but we're pretty spread out. So I had just finished my chores with my horses, and I was just trimming some tree branches that were getting too low on my driveway. And I heard there's about 5 acres of forest, more like 7 acres of forest on my land. And I heard what I, put in my little box of my mind, because it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. 2 animals, I thought they were just going at it, and one just blood-curdling scream, high-pitched, high pitched, like a woman, but not, even higher and just louder than anything. I felt like it was being tortured because the sound kept going on, and then this horrible, gnarly, just growling, but just really scratchy, growling, very strange, odd voice also they were in this attack mode, and it seemed to be attacking the one that was just high-pitched, horrible, and it was really loud. And I'm going, what? And so I immediately, because I'm a big animal advocate, I love protecting. We have a lot of wildlife on our land, and I love to protect it. It's just, I love them so dearly. So I'm like, what in the world is going on? Someone's attacking something, and I'm trying to put my head around it. And I'm not really thinking, all I'm thinking is protect the one that is getting hurt. So I run to get a shovel, So I run to get this shovel, and I'm running towards the forest, and I have to step down and go into the forest. And I'm really, in my mind, I'm going, why doesn't it just kill it and get over with it. Why is this screaming continually? Because, in the past 9 years we lived here, we'll hear a kill now and then, but I've never heard a scream like this. I mean, it's just boom, it's over, it's done, It's more like and then it's over. But this was just carrying on and on and on. It was just making me so upset. So I ran down, carrying the shovel. I turned left to head north down the forest on this pathway, and the sound is still carrying on. And so I'm running, and I turn to my right, and in this thicket, I can't see anything that's going on, but it's just on the other side of this really dense bushes and trees. And all of a sudden, the sound just went dead quiet. And I'm standing there, and not knowing, I don't even know what I'm thinking at that point. It just goes dead quiet, holding the shovel in my hand. And then coming at me were these huge, huge steps. And I mean, like some giant was just rushing at me. I turned and ran. I mean, the earth just shook. It was like boom, boom. It's like as if you had taken up like huge trees and they, become legs and were running at me. And I ran for my dear life. I'd never had experience like something right at me behind me. It was primal fear, and I was running for my life. And I thought, I'm dying. I'm gonna die. This thing's gonna kill me. And I didn't look back. I just ran for my life. Ran up the hill. Ran into the house. My daughters were looking at me. And I couldn't even speak, and they obviously knew that something was wrong, and they're screaming at me, and I just been standing there. I didn't know what to say, and I'm thinking, this thing's coming at my family. Now I've got to protect my family, so I run and got my gun, and I just run back down. The kids are running behind me on my heels, and I'm thinking, okay, keep them on my heels because they're better with me than being in the house. I don't know what I'm dealing with, but they're better behind me. So they're on my heels, and we get down to where I had, where the sound had stopped. And I'm just screaming at them. And, I'm yelling all this threats. And I'm sitting there going, I'm talking to an animal. And yet somehow I have this already, this intuitive feeling that they know what I'm saying. And I'm threatening them. I'm like, you are my family. I'm going to kill you. And just all this stuff. And then that was it. And we went down, we tried to find if there was anything that was going on, any kind of kill, nothing. And I went back up, and I was just really just trying to wrap my head around what I'd heard. And to be honest, there was no sound to even equate with what I had heard. And no natural animal sounded like that, to that kind of degree, that intensity, that volume, and the sound itself was just beyond. And then I think it was the following day. Trying to maybe two. I think it was the following day or 2 days after that. And we have 2 dogs. It was in the morning, and I have to go back. That morning, when we go out usually around 7 and do our chores, and my husband happened to be out, and he was just sitting out and doing business on his phone, and he noticed that my dog, one of my dogs, was going along the perimeter of the forest line where my horse's pastures and the forest meet by and there's a fence between it, and he was walking, his hair is standing on end, and he wouldn't go into the forest. And he's a real protector, and something had really irritated him, and he was afraid to go down, but yet he was trying to protect our family, so he kept patrolling back up and down. You could tell he was really stressed, and my husband just thought that was weird. So that had happened prior to that incident. But a day or 2 later, I was in town, and my daughters were walking the dog down into the forest, and they saw this baby doe that it was just curled up, just lying there, and they noticed, and my dog spooked it, so it got up and started running, and the dogs chased it, and the girls were trying to, grab the dogs and keep them from chasing the doe, but the doe fell down and collapsed, and they ran and, you know, held the dogs fast, and they looked at the doe, and it was alive, but its genitals had been ripped out. And there was, the jugular, there was no, I mean, I know animals, okay? I know wildlife go for the jugular, they kill the animal through suffocation, and then they devour its prey. This thing was left just hiding. Its genitals had been ripped out and was in this kind of state of shock or something, and my dog startled it, but it really disturbed me that something would, you know, like that would happen. And then I'm trying to get my timeline, because I think it was before, this is the part that I've kind of blacked out of my mind because I don't like to think about it. But I believe it was prior to the finding the doe that one of my colts was a yearling. We found him in the morning, and he had been attacked by something.
What is
It was his back. Pardon me?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So it was his back thigh had been literally, looks like teeth had taken a chunk out of his thigh. And it was very strange because, number one, I have very large stallions and they're all pastured together, and a cougar would never take a chance at attacking a horse because it would weigh out the fact they know that they kick, and it would really putting its life on the line by even approaching a horse. We have cougar around our land all the time, and they have never bothered our horses in 9 years. So I know it would never be a cougar. And right. I also didn't know why there was just this bite, and then it was gone. Why didn't it finish off my horse? Why, you know, and my horses are very large. They are draft. One of our breeds is a draft horse. It would have kicked. And these are very tall. These colts are also very, very big. They're not like these small little 14 hand or anything. They're close to 16 hands, which is big for a yearling colt. So I was very, very disturbed by that. And we camped out. And at that point, then I started doing research because I wanted to know what in the world is going on. I have neighbors that they're not sensitive like I am whatsoever. They started experiencing strange encounters that they didn't see, but they had experience on horseback rides on the same mountain just west of me. Where they had footsteps actually come rush at them and stood the crap out of their horses. And one, they actually had to get off their horses and turn around and try to drag their horses, or they tried to drag their horse past this one cluster of trees that the horses were spooked at, and they couldn't do it, so they had to turn around and go back. And this happened a couple of times, and it was all within a 2-week period of what has been going on with myself. And there's just been, we've had, at that point after we went on high alert to protect all of our horses, we started putting lights around and blah, blah, blah. And we had one encounter where we were just tucking in the horses and just trying to keep everything safe. And we had floodlights and motion detector lights. And there was, my daughter encountered, it was like 4 or 5 sets of eyes that actually had come down and was staring right directly into my colt pasture. And she was actually screaming at them, and they were not afraid of her. They wouldn't run. They just slowly, they blinked, and then they'd be in a different location on the mountain. And she just kept screaming at them, and then they'd blink, and then they would be, when their eyes opened up again, they'd be in a different location on the mountain. And she ran and got me and my husband and my other daughters, and we're out, and by that time they were gone. And then my youngest daughter, who's 18, she woke up suddenly one night, everyone's just kind of on high alert. You know, we're all very disturbed, and we're in the barn. So my daughter woke up just abruptly, and she went to the window, and I don't know what time of night it was, but it was in the middle of the night, and she saw crawling very strangely this black sort of silver. The moon was very big and bright that night, and so she could see that it was crawling along the fence line by my colt pasture again, and its back was already, you know, going. It was probably about 4 feet high, and it would have these long spikes of hair coming off the back. And because there were, we have a propane tank, and there were some other things that she couldn't see the tail of it, the back end of it, like the hip and the butt area, and she couldn't see the head because of the darkness. And she realized that we had forgotten to turn on the lights on the front where it was heading, and that's how she was able to see it. But she couldn't see its head because it had kind of disappeared into the darkness. But she did get, and she said the way it was crawling was just like inches off the ground, and she could see it was just moving really swiftly. It was not like any wild animal she could ever detect. And it was probably, by the body size, it probably spanned about 8 feet.
Wow.
6 to 8 feet plus, but it was gigantic.
Jesus.
And so at that point, I thought, we got a Dogman. And I had been doing a lot of research, and even in my paranormal experience, I really had never considered the idea of Bigfoot or Dogman. And so when I was doing my research and listening, and I mean, I was scouring, spending hours and hours and hours, because I wanted to get to the bottom of this. I wanted to know how to protect my family and my horses. And I had come across some various groups that were talking about Bigfoot, and they really felt that the Bigfoot were, you know, three-dimensional, and somehow they were just able to evade society or whatever. But what I was intuitively picking up is that the Bigfoot, and I can go on to this longer, but then it would be a longer podcast. But the bottom line is this, is the research and the intuitive feeling that I've gotten of relationship, the nature spirits that I have had a relationship for 9 years, is very intense, is very, I know they're watching us 24/7 all the time, and I know that these beings are interdimensional, and they were the Bigfoot that was actually protecting our family, and they were attacking and defending and trying to protect our family and their family from this Dogman. And that high-pitched screams that was going on was a Dogman being attacked. And I believe that these things they can go through portals. I know there's portals all over Utah, and I know that these things can come through portals and they can go out. And that for some reason, I feel that this Dogman does not belong here, but it has slipped through for whatever reason is going on in the earth right now, and the shift and the changes in electromagnetic fields that are happening from the sunburst, whatever you want to call it. There's a shift that's occurring, and there are things that are being uprooted and things that are encroaching into other territories.
Right.
For whatever reason, this Dogman, he was not, and there's more of them. I know that there is more of them, even though I felt that it. Go ahead.
Hey, Giselle, have you seen George Knapp's, and have you seen his new Hunt for the Skinwalker out at Skinwalker Ranch, the new documentary he has?
Yeah, I actually did.
You did watch that?
After doing a lot of research, there was a lot of ahas going on.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of that activity sounds real familiar. Are you Native American?
No, I'm not.
Oh, why, you have a family and everything out there. Why do you stay there? what, I know it's home. I know for sure it's home, but I was just curious as to why.
Well, again, like I said, I cannot, wherever I go, the paranormal just comes because I think of my sensitivity and my openness to it, and for some, whatever divine thing I've got going on. But the reason why we are trying to move, okay, we're trying to move.
Okay.
It's not easy to find a place. We have 11 horses.
Oh,
Some are pregnant, and it's not easy. We're trying to move. I do love this place very much.
oh, absolutely.
But again, I feel like everything is going to be continuously increasing. And I do feel like there's a huge cover-up going on. I have to also interject that we live near a lake, and my daughter and I was walking our dogs along the lake, and we came across these huge wolf tracks. Okay, we've never had any sort of indication that there's been wolves in this area for the 9 years I've lived here. And there's these gigantic wolf tracks, but I can't find out where they originated along the beach, and I can't find out where they just disappear. They don't go into the water, they don't go anywhere, it's just they're there. And I had made the huge mistake of contacting wildlife management. And I actually had a sheriff actually pull up and park right outside of my ranch and sit and stare at me when I was outside while all this is going on. And I'm looking at him and I'm going, okay, what is he doing? I didn't call the sheriff, but I just felt like, he's just staring at me. So I'm like, well, I'm going to go talk to him. So I went up to talk to him, and he took off in his sheriff car, spun around because we were a dead end road, spun around and took off. So what was he doing there?
Can I ask you something?
Wow.
Now you mentioned like the first time we talked that you knew there were Bigfoot in the area prior to the activity that was before the Dogman, correct?
We've had, when we first moved in here 9 years ago, all of a sudden we start joking about Bigfoot because we were hearing all this crashing in our forest and all this kind of sounds going on, but we had never experienced it firsthand, and so it was kind of a joke to us. And we knew there used to be every year this Bigfoot through, people would get together around this time of year, actually Halloween, and we kind of, it was tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. We never really took it to it, and which is kind of ironic because I'm a really open person, but just the stigma with the Bigfoot, I just never believed that they were these, Neanderthal kind of dumb guys that sit around, and just the way that's been kind of portrayed. And so when I had this encounter, it really opened my eyes because I know that these beings, I felt like a kindergartner compared to the intelligence that was just palpable. I think that is palpable with these Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you call them. I call them, the wild ones, but they're not wild. They're so intelligent. They're primal. Right. They're very primal. They have such a primal energy. But yeah, so I knew that they were in the area, but I never really allowed myself to kind of go down that path for some reason, just because of the, the whole stigma that's put up with it, Harry and the Hendersons, that kind of thing.
Right. So do you think the Dogman that's in the area is trying to push out the Bigfoot in the area for dominance of the area? Because you mentioned that you heard something, two large animals fighting in the woods. You heard I believe you said, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you said you were pretty sure the one vocalization that you heard was most likely the Bigfoot, and the other one was definitely not a Bigfoot. It was something that was either more dominant or just as dominant as the Bigfoot, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I felt like they were kind of on equal ground.
Right.
It felt like it was two definite strengths, really going head to head. It's difficult to say. I will say what I felt, what I feel from these dogmen, for lack of a better word, because I'm still open. I'm not going to put this into a box. I really feel that it was werewolf, skinwalker, whatever you call it. Whatever you want to call it, dogmen. I mean, I know I can't really categorize because I don't know that we really should, but the particular thing that attacked my horses, that attacked the doe, the thing that made this Bigfoot, the ones that I have a harmonious relationship with, I'm telling you, it wasn't so much territory as it was just flat out evil.
Mm-hmm.
How do you I can't defend it. I can't say, well, you know, I've been pushed out and it just felt evil.
Right.
The scream you said you heard, I mean, how would it compare to, say, a mountain lion, a cougar scream? You know, they're said to scream like women that are, you know, being butchered or murdered. Was it similar to that or totally different?
It was really totally different, because my first thought, I didn't think there was a woman down there screaming, and I have heard deer scream. I have heard, you know, cougar scream. This was such a shrill, and it just didn't, almost, the shrill was almost metallic-y kind of, I mean, it was not, there was growling and screaming at the same kind of voice. It was one voice, okay, but it was definitely, it was something I've never, ever heard.
No.
I think if anything, I mean, I would say, I mean, raccoon, they can sound pretty gnarly, right? When they're fighting, they can sound pretty darn gnarly. You take that to, you know, 1,000 times that gnarliness.
Now, were you
Great to pitch up.
Were you outside, feet on the ground, when this was going on? Were you
Yeah.
inside? You were outside, right?
I was outside trimming the trees.
Approximately how far do you think it was, roughly, from you?
How far from me?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's probably I'm doing the math here in my head.
The reason why I ask is because when I was in Bellbrook, Ohio, we heard a howl, and it probably was no more than 20 to 30 yards from us, and you could feel it through the ground. And that's when we thought, oh shit, it's a cryptid. Because there is no living animal that we know of that can produce a sound that powerful. It makes sense that if you have a 7 to 10 foot tall, barrel chested animal, you know, and they make a very intense growl or scream, that you're going to be able to feel it, especially from that distance.
Yeah, it has like a large echo.
I mean, there was 4 of us at the time, and we all stopped. We froze because we knew that wasn't a dog, that wasn't a cougar. You know, there's no bear. We knew that was something special. It wasn't a human. It was. That's why I was wondering if you had felt that same thing. I mean, you know, when
well, you know, to be honest with you, I don't know. I was just in this. I've got to help this. My immediate thing is I'm a mom, and I am crazy in love with my kids. I'm crazy in love with my animals, with this land. I mean, everything was like, gotta protect. And it caught me off. You don't think they're going to hear this at 10 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I am just doing my thing, just trimming, and all of a sudden this is happening, and I just went to action. I just went into action because I feel like such a mother, you know, a protective mother. I went into action. It was only when I got down and everything went dead silent that I felt I was in big trouble after that when the sound happened. So to be honest, I don't know if I felt it, because I had even though I'd probably say, oh, really not great at this, but I'd probably say I was about maybe 200 yards from it.
Has
Wow.
anyone else in your neighborhood, and I'm not sure how close the residents are to each other out there, because I know Utah's a lot of the homes and stuff are pretty, stretched out there. But has anybody else that you know of in your community has it been experiencing anything like this?
Well, I will tell you that my neighbor up the road, as I've mentioned, when they went on horseback twice in the same area, just west of me up on the mountains, they had encountered what they said was bipedal that was coming at them. Heavy bipedal steps, and they were on horseback, and it scared the hell out of their horses. There was, and again, I'm kind of a recluse. I don't socialize a lot around in my community. I'm just we just do our horse thing, and it's a lot of work here on the ranch, and so we just kind of do our thing. And occasionally we'll see a neighbor here or there. But I did have a neighbor on the north end of my forest that just built a house. I mean, they had just barely moved in within like a month or two, and they had cameras set up, and they got scared. They actually have a video of a cougar, and so they're like, oh, there's got to be a cougar in there. I said, there's always cougar in there. I said, that's their home. You just built your home right where they pass through. Because I have a river that runs through my home, and they go on the riverfront to do their hunting. They'll leave their babies in my forest, and they'll go hunt. But these people were so scared that they went and bought 2 big, gnarly dogs. And I don't talk to them, but I have a neighbor who stacks my hay for me. He's the one that told me that they were so scared. Interesting thing, and this might be another subject, but I was telling the guy that was stacking my hay. He works for Hill Air Force Base, and he's a great guy, very intelligent. And I was asking him if he had heard anything going on. And when I was sharing with him what I had experienced, he went a sheet of white. And I thought that was very odd. First, when I kind of told him about, the Bigfoot thing, he kind of smirked. But then when I told him about, the attack on my colt and what my daughter saw, which looked possibly, to be a Dogman, and I asked me about the white wolf in a minute, so I don't forget that. But
Okay.
But when I was telling him, he went a sheet of white, and he just kind of froze, and then he quickly changed the subject. Well, I found out I was actually at his house picking apples for my horses. His wife has invited us down to get apples. They have like tons of trees. So we were picking apples, and I was talking to her, and I'd always known that she had what he called a horse accident. But 16 years ago, and this is in Maine, this occurred in Maine, but 16 years ago, she was walking her horse on trying to get ready for an endurance race the next day, and was up on just walking the trail with her horse that she was going to put in the race. And she was actually, long story short, she was attacked by something that he wanted covered up. He didn't want the news. They said it was a cougar, but her right lobe of her head was eaten by something, and she had scratches all over her body. And the media was trying to get to her, and she was trying to, trying to tell her husband, why aren't you letting me talk? Why won't you let me say anything? And the media just, he told the media it was a cougar attack or something like that. But it was just kind of odd to me that when I told him about, possible Dogman, werewolf, wolf, he just turned a sheet of white and immediately changed the subject. And he never told us what had happened to her. She just blurted it out the day I was picking apples just the other day. And it just got me really kind of wondering, these things are all over, and if it was, maybe it wasn't, I don't know. She is just a miracle, walking miracle, but there's some things that are just, I don't know what we'll ever get to the bottom of, but I do know that it is happening, and there are other reports that I'm not aware of, because there are two reports they're trying to explain away, just in the news, on Fox News in the local area. There's a picture of a cougar holding a white cat in its mouth that someone had taken a picture of. And they're saying that this cat, because of that picture that they found, and they called wildlife management out, and wildlife management shot at it. They tried to track it. They said they shot at it. This is their story, okay? They think they fatally wounded it, but they couldn't catch it. If you shot at something that was fatally wounded, you'd be able to catch that thing, right? So they said that they shot at it, and it was fatally wounded, but they couldn't catch it. But this cat, they know, is responsible for the livestock killings that are happening in the valley. Now, that was on the news not too long ago, just a few days ago. So I am not the only one that has reported that there's been livestock attacks.
That's crazy with the stuff going on. I appreciate you calling in, Giselle. I really do. I mean, your story is extremely fascinating and stuff. And definitely, please keep us posted if anything new happens. I appreciate that. But I'm going to plan. I'm sorry.
I feel that things are kind of calmed down. I know you guys are really liking the report, but I'm happy to report that I feel that things are kind of calmed down. But we're still on high alert because the report's still going out.
That's good.
So yeah, definitely I'll let you know if anything happens.
Absolutely, keep us on speed dial.
Yeah, please do. And I'm going to plan on giving you a call tomorrow anyhow, because there's something going on I wanted to ask you about and stuff. So I'm going to give you a call tomorrow. But I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you for calling in, and please keep us posted.
You're welcome. You guys have a good evening.
You too.
Right,
thank you
so
very
much.
much. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Sorry. What I'm holding here is it's a mask. I know it's the only thing we could find that was close enough to what people describe as a Dogman. And some of you might remember this. This should look familiar. It's from The Howling, actually. And it's a pretty good job, actually, considering the reports we get. A lot of folks say that their hair is dark, and you've got the ears with the long pointed ears, the muzzle, the eye color, the teeth. Yeah. And what's really cool is when we were at Scarefest, Dee Wallace, if you remember, she was in The Howling. It kind of scared her, didn't it? It startled her. When she walked by, she was like, oh my God, I know that.
Yeah, and she didn't want to get a picture taken with it because she said that it was scaring her.
It was freaking her out.
Yeah.
Because we actually, we fabricated a 7-foot-tall Dogman with hocks and the whole thing, just to give people an idea of the size. And that really was drawing people in to ask questions about Dogman, which really helped. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, that was a good event.
Who is? Yeah, you've got actually.
That's it with the Ghost Brothers. So yeah, it was.
You could see it. It was. You can't really see the hocks too much or whatever, but. And also those pictures that Jody was showing you when Giselle was talking were pictures of her horses that had gotten scratched.
Yep.
The prints, and they did a sketch of the
one that was drawn that she saw
through the yard.
Yeah, drawn through crawling through the yard. Yeah. Yeah, and there's Dee Wallace standing next to it. You can see she's scared.
There you can see the hocks, and you can see the hands. I tried to make the arms longer than what the hocks would be, as described. And we have the hands and everything that look like the giant raccoon hands with the big black claws on it. turned out really good. It served its purpose for sure.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, what was really interesting is if you guys know Amy Allen from the Dead Files, she walked by and put her hand over her mouth immediately, and she told me, "I've seen those." And I sat with her for 15 minutes, and she told me that she had seen not only deceased Bigfoot in the woods, she's also seen Dogman.
We have.
Yeah, that was really compelling.
There's one podcast we were thinking about doing. There's a, she's a psychic medium, but she, I can't think of her name is Danielle. I can't think of her last name, but she did a podcast with someone else where she channeled a Dogman. And some of you probably seen it on Facebook where she channeled the Dogman, which was a female, and she was talking for the spirit of this Dogman about their activity, you know, that they're not violent and things like that. So I was thinking about sending her an email saying, would you talk to us and see if you can channel a male and find out a little bit the difference between the male and the female. It's a really interesting.
So she said they weren't really.
Well, the female Dogman said that they're not the violent one. You know, that they know man is violent. They know that we know that they're there. We think that they're violent. They're able to feed off our energy, able to feed off of, you know, our fear, and they know that, and that these things are more supernatural. They're flesh and blood, but supernatural, and it goes back to a lot of the stuff that we talked about. And they talk, and it mentions that they know they were here during ancient times, like in Egypt, Greece, in Mesopotamia. Their existence. So there is some extraterrestrial connection to it. It was very interesting. I'll try to find it and post it on the North American Dogman Project's Facebook page. But I was thinking about giving her a call and say, would you come on our show and let us talk to you about this and see what's the differences between this male, male Dogman and a female Dogman spirit. And basically what he was saying is that once they're dead, you know, they don't, I don't know, don't have souls like we do in the sense that we do, that they are more reincarnated into another Dogman. And when they die, they don't bury them. They don't believe in burying them. They believe that once the animals die and the animal, you know, desecrates, goes into the ground, it's feeding the earth. You know, it's putting back into the earth. It was kind of interesting. So let me look that up and we'll put that on there. And I think that, you know, giving her a call, I think it'd be pretty interesting, you know, to do that. You know, to talk to her about that and see what she says.
That would be very interesting.
That would be.
Yeah.
That would support our thoughts on.
Yeah, the thoughts on with the supernatural and things.
And also with when I was watching the Skinwalker Ranch documentary, when they were talking about the giant wolf that came into the pen where the calves were.
Right.
He had his family there, and it was walking around him. He said the back came up to, you know, his chest, and it was friendly, and it was walking around him, and the guy pet it. He said it seemed friendly until it went over and grabbed one of the calves. And that's where it kind of gets supernatural, because it grabs the calf, tries to yank that thing through the fence, get an easy meal. And then what happens?
Yeah.
They shoot at it multiple times with a .357 and a .30-06, and the thing walks away. So, yeah, I kind of refer to that one because it's the first time I've ever heard of, you know, somebody actually physically touching one. And it seems like that's what it was.
Yeah, that was an interesting case. But I think, you know, I checked this woman out. I mean, she's very well known in the field. You know, Wisconsin.
Janesville, Wisconsin. My dad used to live there. I know who this is. I know
Hi.
who this is.
Hello.
This is Donna.
It's Donna.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Awesome.
Doing good.
Good to hear your voice.
Well, it's good to see you guys on live YouTube.
Yeah.
Well,
This is fun, especially on Halloween night.
Yeah.
We're pretty
Yeah,
scared.
the
How do you like the
rain.
masks? Are they?
Oh,
Yeah,
very
these
cool.
are just masks.
That one's
If
good.
I had
Look at that one.
I'm really Lauren Coleman disguised as Jody Cook. So.
if I had that mask, I could win all kinds of contests.
What?
I could win contests with that mask.
Mine or the werewolf?
Oh, all of them.
She's playing it safe.
You know I have to do that.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Donna is our state rep. The
No,
Northern
regional.
regional director.
Regional.
She's the regional director.
Yeah.
Well, she's also the state rep. She's
Yeah.
the state rep first. Well, you're
Yeah.
still the state rep, but you're also
Yes,
the regional
for
director.
Wisconsin and then for the Midwest
Yep.
region.
Absolutely. So she's got her hands full, man. The Midwest. She's got just having Michigan and Wisconsin
Yeah.
alone, and then of course,
Yeah.
what Indiana? What other states do you have? What all?
I think Iowa, I can't remember what all you included, but
I'll
you know,
look at
we've
the
got a
map.
Facebook page for Wisconsin and then one for the Midwest region. And we're gathering members every day, you
Oh,
know,
for
3 or 4
sure.
every day. So
Wow.
on both groups. So it's getting bigger and bigger. I think the Dogman is
Absolutely.
the big thing now, you know.
It's definitely the next big cryptid for sure.
And in Wisconsin, it's a big, well, they've been seen a lot here for years.
All the way
And-
back to the Beast of Bray Road, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, actually, it goes way back.
Yeah, it goes back to like
Yes.
the 19th century.
well,
Yeah.
yes, at least till, you know, in the 30s, early 30s, when the Dogman was digging at a grave at St. Coletta's,
Right.
and it uttered some
Some
words
Native
to the
American.
groundskeeper.
Yeah,
Mark Shackleman.
that's really interesting. What was it chanting again?
It said Gadara.
Mhm.
Yeah, Gadara.
That's crazy.
And actually, when it was digging at the grave and he went up to it, it stood up on 2 legs and uttered that to him and then ran away. So that is kind of spooky. It makes you think that they're more than just a corporal being,
Right.
Right.
I think. I don't know if it has something to do with effigy mounds here. You know, we've got what you call the man mound here. It's an effigy mound, and everyone calls it in the shape of a man, but I've never seen a man with 2 very large ears on the top of his head, and that's in Sauk County. And we're going there one day. We're actually trying to get together anyone who can come and do trips to the various locations where the Dogman has been seen, or
Hey, Donna, is there a aerial shot of that?
Yes, there is. It's just called the Man Mound in Wisconsin. Yes, there's and it has 2 tall ears. If you just look it up, it's amazing. Because I don't know of any man that has 2 very tall ears on top of his head. It's actually in Sauk County.
Isn't that crazy? It's like all these little pieces to the puzzle just start coming in.
Oh, yeah, there it
once you
is.
start digging and you talk to people and you network.
There
Well,
it is.
right.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Look at
looks,
that.
yeah, it looks like,
There's just,
It doesn't look so much like a man, does it?
yeah.
No.
and it's just, it'll be crazy to think, you know,
Who-
if we
who
do
did
find
that?
out.
The people before the First Nations people, they're not sure who exactly built the effigy mounds. It was the mound builders, is what they called them. And they don't know why they built effigy mounds, because most of them don't have burials in them. And most of them are located in Wisconsin. There are some in the surrounding states, but we have the most here.
Right.
And so, and then the other night we were out looking for Bigfoot in the Bigfoot area, but it's also the area where we saw the weir boy, and Kimmy's friends saw a werewolf, and then the flying man bat was seen. And we actually got a picture, I believe, of two dogmen that were standing. We heard something in the brush along the road, and we were listening, and we heard some type of a guttural sound, but the brush wasn't moving a lot, so we didn't think anything was really close to us. But when my friend Jackie's camera went off, it flashes a red light before it flashes the bright white light. And so when her red light flashed, I took a picture at the same moment, and the red light actually lit up the dogmen. And the one was kind of bent over at the shoulders and the waist, and it had long arms that were just out in front of it. And then the other one is between two trees and looks like it's much larger. But they were within 10 feet of Jackie and about 15 feet from Kimmy and I.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So they're here. I mean, it's all in the same area of Lima Marsh. And of course, they're in the surrounding areas, you know, where Katie's son saw the three dogmen drinking from the
Right.
creek at Avon Bottoms, and she passed the lie detector test, and we've been out there. And there's always, I know there's Bigfoot out there, but I think there's also dogmen. So they're all around us, basically. They're at Horicon Marsh, the Kettle Moraine, Southern Kettle Moraine, and Northern Kettle Moraine. And you know, that's just southern Wisconsin. We're not even talking northern Wisconsin, where all the woods are.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, that's yeah.
It's an active area. I tend to believe that they are descendants of some sort of Anubis. I believe he was a real being.
I'm starting to think
I
that.
believe that
I'm
he
really
existed.
starting to think that.
The thing about Anubis is that, you know, the way you look at Anubis, you can connect him to flesh and blood, you can connect him to the supernatural, and you can connect them to extraterrestrial.
Yes.
Okay, all three of those you can connect them to.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, this, like, go back to this this psychic medium that was talking to the spirit of the female dogman. She even talks about it, and this woman admits she never knew what a dogman was. She was channeling a woman's son who committed suicide, and the dogman came in and wanted to talk. So she had no idea what a dogman was. And she was saying dogmen, they don't like to be called dogmen. But this entity talks about they were here at the time Anubis was here, the time that St. Peter's was here. You know, so they were here. So like I said, that's one good thing about Anubis is that he's connected to all three of those.
I believe that. That's what I think they are. I think they're possibly part alien and part probably dog. Mm-hmm. And someone was fooling around with DNA like they were to create humans, I believe, and they created a dogman at the same time. And I see somebody in your chat room says that Indian mounds were not built by the Indians. They say that themselves. They don't claim them.
That's right.
And what I said was that the Indian mounds were made by the mound builders who were here before the Native Americans. So I didn't say that they were built by the Indians.
You know, we have Serpent Mound here in Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay. And at Fort Ancient. And, you know, they did some excavation on it, and they found pre-Celtic stuff there, showing that it was most likely the Vikings that built that, not the Native Americans.
You know, there's the Solutrean theory that, you know, basically Proto-Europeans came to North America at some point and died out, you know, for one reason or another, and some of these things may have been built by them. So
yeah, it's hard to tell who built them, and they just call them the mound builders because they don't know who else or what else they were, and they don't know why they made so many of the effigy mounds in the shape of animals and creatures that they saw at the time. So they even have lake serpents, and, lake monsters and the Thunderbird for the effigy mounds. And most of them don't have burials in them. So they don't know why they made them. And I think it's interesting that we have one that looks to me just like a Dogman on two legs.
Yeah, that is. The ears on that thing are pretty strange.
Yeah. Did you show that on the?
We sure did. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I shut mine off so we wouldn't have any voices going on in the background. But we're going to get up there as a group one day soon. We're going actually this Sunday to Avon Bottoms, where Katie had her sighting, and then Diane and I were out there after dark, and we set off a predator call, and we actually saw an orb sitting across the river, and then sparkly lights in the grass next to us. And then Diane said that she saw a tall, dark being standing next to the vehicle on her side. And I didn't hear her. And we were talking about it the other day, because I would have said, okay, we need to go. But she said, maybe I didn't even say that, and I thought I did. And so there's just a lot of weird things going on at Avon Bottoms. It's just a very scary area.
Now, Donna, is it just you and Diane that are out there?
Well, Diane and I have gone a few times. Maureen Brown and I have gone. I've gone with Terry Scheller and Paul Harris, because he had a couple of things going on there that he wasn't sure if it was a Dogman or a Bigfoot that, came up to their camp one night and was growling and snarling at them. And then Maureen and I actually heard an owl hooting, and we knew it wasn't a real owl, but we stood there dumbfounded. And then pretty soon the owl hooting turned into a growling and snarling, and it was daylight, and it was only maybe 200 feet from us, and we didn't see anything there. And we didn't even have our recorders on, nor did we turn them on when the owl was hooting. But I don't know of any owl that starts growling and snarling at you either. Right. So I'm not sure what's going on out there. I'm sure there's both out there, Bigfoot and Dogman.
And now you're not armed or anything, are you?
Yes. Well, yes.
I mean,
Maureen was. She had a rifle, and she had a handgun. Okay. And then I had one of her handguns, and I always take a handgun with me now and bear spray.
Good. So you guys,
mostly for humans, actually.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
A lot. You know what? A lot of people say that it's, they don't take the gun for the Dogman. It's, it's for the humans that you run into out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
we were standing right next to the Dogman, I think, the other night, and it didn't do anything to us. I mean, I think they were curious. I was kind of being silly, and I had a harmonica, and I was playing that to the best of my ability, and I think it attracted some attention.
Right.
And,
curiosity for sure.
Yeah.
You can see in the picture that it's a dog face, and it's not a Bigfoot. So, and I know there's Bigfoot there too, because they've been seen there several times. So Lima Marsh is a very weird area.
Yeah, I like to get one of them fighting. That would be like the ultimate video.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I just like to get a video of anything.
Yeah.
Fighting, not fighting,
Just a clear daytime video of one simply walking across a field. You could zoom in on, and there it is. That would be great. Nobody gets hurt.
Nobody would believe it, though.
No, not. I mean, with
a million ways to Sunday.
Oh yeah. See, that's the thing, and that's why the government likes it so much, because they know that no one's going to believe it and stuff.
No.
So
look at the Patterson Gimlin film.
Yeah, even today they're still. I mean, it's crazy.
They're still arguing over that, and
it's probably the most analyzed piece of footage in human history.
I really like the Gable
no one's
film,
ever proven it to be a hoax.
We're about the Gable film too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I really believe the Gable film is legitimate. The part where it's coming down the hill.
Oh man, you can't.
The stuff in the beginning, the stuff in the end, obviously is fake. And I really think there's something to the Gable film, because that thing is moving No human can move it. And even Monster Quest even proved that fact. The way that thing was moving was unlike any way a human being can do.
Yep.
You know,
So that man said that he made that film?
yeah. He said he made it and he used a ghillie suit. But here's the thing. When he had the ghillie suit, you didn't see ears. In the Gable film, you see ears.
Yeah.
Okay. You definitely see pointed ears.
And it's wide like a gorilla across the check. I mean, just the way people describe the Dogman.
Yeah. And the one, the right back leg, the way it moved, it was like a way a rabbit moves when a rabbit runs and jumps.
And plus, if back in the day, we would see a truck driving down the road like this. We called it side dogging because that's how a dog runs.
Yes.
Runs to the side.
It
That
does
Gable film runs to the side, just
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So,
I always thought that the way it ran was a heck of a lot spookier than just a hoax.
Yes.
Oh,
Because it looked real.
yeah, there's a reason why they want that film to be a hoax, debunked.
Oh,
You know, and I tell you what, the guy that made it, I don't trust him either. You know, I mean, he just seems shady to me. You know, in that Monster Quest interview, it just, I don't know, but
well, that could be.
yeah.
I always thought that the footage of that thing running across the field, I don't know about the rest of the video, but when it was running, I get the creeps when I see that.
Oh yeah, there's something to it.
Yeah, it's the spookiest thing.
Yeah.
But I'd like to invite everyone to join our Facebook groups, Wisconsin and the Midwest. Whether you live in that area or not, we can still share information with everyone that wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
perfect.
Absolutely.
All right, Donna, I appreciate you taking the time and calling in.
Thank you. This
And-
was fun.
Yes.
I'm so glad you did this.
Yes,
And-
we're definitely going to continue doing it.
Absolutely.
Great.
And thanks. All right, we got a bunch more people lined up here that wants to get in. Oh, I didn't know you were still on, Donna. Well, thank you.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right,
Thanks,
take care.
Donna.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
We'll talk to you soon. Brian Seach, who's calling in next?
I think Adam Davis is calling in, and then I think Brian's going to be calling in after Adam.
And then I got Cryptid 559 too
Okay,
to get.
and then Sarah's going to be our anchor call.
On in.
Hey, Steve.
A lot of good information, man.
Yeah.
You guys, Donna, I can't even tell you how brave that lady is. She don't care. She parks it, hikes into the woods. She is unbelievable, man.
The whole Wisconsin crew,
and it's so
Keith and all them,
Wisconsin,
those
it's so
those
nice.
guys,
Horicon
yeah.
Marsh.
those
Look
are
at the map of Wisconsin and just find Elkhorn and just go straight north when they start getting into those marshes.
they're
Great place for a dog man or any
Oh,
cryptid
those
to live
northern
up there.
woods, yeah.
So much. I bet it's just lush.
Wendigo, skinwalker.
Deers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like the Uintah Basin. It's so crazy with the stuff that comes out of
Yeah,
it.
Well, I mean, it's that's
ridiculous.
the region of the continent really where the Wendigo legend
Yeah.
comes from.
That's Adam.
Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah. Hello.
Welcome, Dayton, Ohio, to the North American Dogman Project.
Hey guys, how you doing? It's
Oh,
Adam.
yeah.
Oh,
Listen to that
there you
voice.
go.
I think it's James Earl Jones, right?
Right.
And don't say this is CNN either.
How's it going?
Good. Now, Adam, I know you had quite a few. First of all, Adam is part of the NADP. He's based out of the Dayton, Germantown area. Adam's been with us since the beginning. Adam's had quite a few encounters.
He's a great researcher.
Yeah.
And his
He gets out there.
encounters are very intense.
He's a
Lot
good
of fun.
researcher. He could find dirt on George Washington if he had to. Okay.
to the intro, guys.
Yeah. So, there's a couple of them I want you to talk about. I want you to talk about, I mean, since there's a few of them here, we'll keep it to a minimum here, time wise, but talk to us about the encounter at the home, and then the encounter on, what was that road? Name of that
So
road?
there-
Anthony Road?
Anthony Road, yeah.
Anthony Road.
Or which one? I mean, I've
Okay.
had a lot of stuff at these things. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, the ones that happen in the Anthony Row area, you can kind of blend them together, but go ahead and talk about the incident at your home. The one where you were interviewed for Monster Quest.
okay, we start off, with that one. Well, this was about 2 years after I had seen actually seen my first Dogman. I had gone upstairs at the house and everything, and told my girlfriend at the time that I'd be up there meditating for a while. So I was upstairs for about an hour, and I came back downstairs, and all of a sudden I'm hit with this stench throughout. That's just pervading the entire house at that point in time. And mind you, the windows were open because it was a fairly cool night for an August night. And I'm like, don't you smell that? Why didn't you call me to come down and see what was going on? She's like, well, it's been like that almost ever since you went upstairs. So I come around the corner into the kitchen, and I'm facing the windows that are facing west towards the cornfield out there. And it's like, you could have called me, and about the time I got the word "me" out of my mouth, I see something glowing red out towards the edge of the field. And initially, my first thing in the thought process is well, this all happens within like a matter of 2 seconds, mind you. I think, well, there's a red LED on the TV and the TV's not on, so it could be a reflection of that. So I just instinctively ducked my head to look through the screen, and I could clearly see two red eyes looking back at me. And it was just like somebody knocked my legs out from under me. And thank God there was a chair there because I landed in it. And she's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I'm like, I'm literally going, and I'm pointing at the window. By the time she looked, they're gone. And about 10 or 15 seconds after I finally gathered my senses, I got so mad that these things were in my territory. So I got mad, and I picked up one of my, at that point in time I was making swords and knives and everything. I picked up one of the swords I had made, and I went outside like an idiot, and I was cussing and ranting at these things, and keep telling them just to go away and leave me alone. And like that, but at that point I could hear two of them in the corn. And if you've ever heard how dogs or coyotes or whatever will knacker back and forth at each other when they're playing,
Right.
it was that kind of a sound. Like they thought that it was like they had just done the funniest thing ever, to me, to them. It was like, so and they were, carrying on about it as they were going back to wherever they came from. And it made me so mad because, like I said, it just felt like they were invading my territory. I mean, they had been out in the field before. I would have my shop door open, and when there was nothing growing in the field, or there was like soybeans in the field or whatever, I could see their eyes out over the hill that was, in the middle of the field, maybe about 250 yards out. Like that's the closest they had ever come to the house, right then and there, which was about within 50 yards of the house. And like I said, it's just it scared the what out of me, and you know, at the same time, made me just absolutely infuriated. I mean, I don't know any other way to put it.
Mhm. So tell us about the incidents that were happening on Anthony Road. Because it seems like you're pretty much a magnet, you know, for these things.
Yeah, I mean, there's times I wish it becomes magnetized.
Mhm.
But I guess one of the first things I found out there of any real significance besides Prince was in April 2006. I'm going to try to hold it together on this guy, because even thinking about it.
No, just take your time.
Case in point, folks, once you see one of these, it flips the script. Life becomes different. Every time you step outside, you're tuning in. You know what you're looking for.
And you're looking for your shoulder too, believe me. Every time you hear something, if you're out in the woods, every time you hear a twig snap, every time you hear birds go silent, you're looking around. Just okay, hold on. My girlfriend at the time and I were going down Anthony Road with for Prince, and we had just come across the bridge there from Manning Road to Anthony Road, and I told her to stop because there's a little bend right there, and I saw something black off to the passenger side, and I got out and picked it up and looked at it real close, and it was a pair of pants. And as I looked at it, I could tell that there was, you know, blood that was matted on the front of them that was congealed. So it couldn't have been, it wasn't dry, it was just starting to get, you know, to that consistency where it was, you know what congealed blood's like. And they were shredded from about mid-thigh down, and I looked at the label on them and everything, and they belonged to apparently a woman, you know, no, of course, what age rated, but they were a petite sized pants, you know, in a woman's brand of pants. And I looked around and looking for more clothing, and I looked across the road, and about 60 feet down, I saw, you know, two red articles of clothing that were still inside of each other. So I walked over, and it was a red sweater and a red T-shirt. And the yarn from the sweater right in the abdominal area was pulled out and shredded out for, I don't know, it was a good, you know, I don't know, it was a huge area of the sweater was ripped and rent out, and then the T-shirt underneath it was the same way, and it was both were matted with blood. And at that point, I called the police, well, the dispatch anyway. And the dispatcher just tried to laugh it off, saying, "Oh, well, it's probably just trash that somebody left out there." It wasn't. For 100 yards, you know, in either direction on the road, there wasn't any trash bags anywhere, and the blood was fresh, you know, just congealing. So it couldn't have been more than maybe 8 to 12 hours old, because it was morning and the heat of the day hadn't started to hit in that area. It was about, if I can remember, close to 10:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And there was still, in that area, because of the shade of the trees, there was still dew and stuff on everything. Plus there had been a little shower, you know, earlier in the morning, like about,
Hello.
if I remember correctly, I woke up about 6 in the morning to a little clap of thunder and a little, and some rain. But, so nothing was dry by any means.
Okay.
You know. And like I said, we called the police and they left it off.
Yeah, this one
And we went back to, we decided to go back to the house and come back in the morning with some bags and stuff to pack the stuff up because we didn't have anything with us. And we got back there the next day and it was gone, including any imprint that was left from the clothing from the little bit of mud that was on the ground. Somebody had come and taken the clothes and they took their vehicle and spun out their tires over the areas where those things were at.
But that's an intense story, Adam. I appreciate you calling in. We just got our UK call coming in now, so
we need to get you down here, brother.
Yeah,
on one of these live podcasts.
Yep, we'll have to get together to do that.
All right, definitely. All right, buddy, you be good.
I'll be listening to the UK call. Talk to you later.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, are you there?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, good, very good.
Hey, for all of you,
I'm using some. I had some. I'm not very good with tech, guys, so I tried to install some crazy app, and it's finally worked. But I'm gonna have to keep this brief. But I've got a couple of stories. I think that
I appreciate that.
It'd be really good to be able to relate them to you guys. Obviously, with you kind of being in this field and everything, and I've got a big interest in it. Although these days, I kind of wish I didn't half the time, really. But anyway, what I'll do is I'll get straight to it because there's a couple of interesting stories that I've had personally recounted to me, and I'll start with probably the best one, which the guy. He was in the military for 20 odd years, pretty much most of his life. This man recounted this experience he had. He was up in Scotland. He was at a sensitive installation up there, and he was on patrol with 5 other people, 2 of which are still friends with him. And everybody there all saw pretty much the same thing. I think he kind of got the brunt of it though. And when this man was telling me what happened to him, I mean, he was in a real mess. I mean, the more he got to kind of the point of what happened, you could really see that this was something that clearly affected him. I mean, I fully believed that he saw, or at least he believed he saw what he told me. Now, what he said was they were on patrol. It was roughly 2 a.m. This is in the 90s, and they were on patrol. It was roughly 2 a.m. And they're walking along a small dirt track just outside the installation. When they saw, well, him and the 2 fellows closest to him saw a man. What he said, he was adamant about this. He said, saw a man run across the dirt track in front of them. And they were really surprised, but they raised the weapons and they said, "Stop, Army." No response. He kept running, said, "Stop, Army, we'll shoot." At this point, this guy, they had the lights on him, and he just ducked down. Now, I can't show you the motions. This guy was sort of doing the motions, but this guy effectively, very calmly ducked down beneath a load of scrub. Well, they kept the lights in the area that this guy was at. He was on point, and he moved forward with his weapon raised. And what he said to me was, there was a rustle, and his exact words were, "The biggest dog I've ever seen in my life just got up and ran off out of this place where this guy had ostensibly ducked down." So what was strange was there was a kind of, when he said that, this big dog, it was a really strange situation, because this came to me when he had absolutely no idea of my interest in this subject. No idea, none at all. and I couldn't quite believe what I was hearing, but I ended up staying and talking to this guy. He has his own business. It was busy, so there's a lot going on at the time. This was sort of being recounted to me, so I ended up staying behind and until the small hours of the morning, talking about this with him. And the more details he gave me, and what sort of slowly started to emerge was he wasn't talking about some ordinary dog. It became pretty clear that he was talking about the same kind of thing that you guys are interested in, you know.
In the UK,
that's the first story.
In the UK, what do they call this type of creature? Do they call it Dogman over there, or werewolves, or what?
Well, they call it werewolf. I mean, the thing is, you know, I think, is it Jody talking? Is it I'm talking to?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think, Jody, what it is, you know, it's semantics, this thing, because, you know, I mean, the Americans have kind of, you know, I think with Linda Godfrey and what was going on there in Elkhorn, the kind of, the media kind of latched onto this term, Dogman. But I mean, I think even Linda Godfrey, what she'd say pretty clearly is, you know, what the witnesses were describing, they were describing as a werewolf. I mean,
oh yeah,
that's what, at least, you know, that's how they describe it. And from what I've seen, people who have a real, you know, brush in with this thing, they're pretty consistent and pretty adamant. Most of them, that's the term they actually use. And, you know, because a lot of these people, the ones who are, you know, most messed up as a result of it, you know, these people, they're not online looking, you know, searching about cryptids and looking for this kind of thing. They just come across it, you know. And the thing that springs to mind is that they go straight to the image out of a movie, you know. So they describe this thing as a...
It's either Van Helsing or
I think it's just semantics. Yeah. I mean, this Dogman thing. Sorry?
Yeah, we were talking. I mean, like the creatures in Dog Soldiers.
Sure.
Yeah, love that movie.
I mean, you know, I have got other stories. There's a guy very recently told me a story that it was during World War II. His father was at a place that's known locally as Devil's Bridge, in the south of England. It's a small village, but there's an area there. And there's a small stone bridge. It's known as Devil's Bridge. It's known locally, which is an interesting thing in itself. You know, as you guys probably are aware of, things that have that kind of a name attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Have, you know, more often than not, you find they have a lot of weird stuff going on around those areas. You know. And this guy, they were passing under this bridge, and they saw a figure there, and as they got closer, he had an American uniform on, which was interesting. But this guy's dad's friend asked this fella for a light, and they got no response from this figure. He kept walking away, and they picked up the pace, and he was saying, you know, have you got a light? Have you got a light? Well, this guy turns around, and he's basically, it's a blur apparently, but basically this guy lashes out and shreds. Well, he just got hit on the chest. This fella, his dad recounts the story. This friend of his got hit on the chest, but this figure runs off. Looks really, you know, strange, loping run off. And when he turned around and looked at his chest, he had his whole woolen top had been slashed through for claw marks. So the other thing, Jody, that I wanted to bring up with you and the other guys there that I find interesting is so many people don't want to think about this thing that way, in the shape-shifting type of way.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'd say to you is, I find that really strange, because you see, the thing is, there's so many stories out there. I mean, think of Donna Donna Fink. I think I kept going in and out of the stream before, so I'm assuming was that Donna Fink you had on
Correct.
before?
Yes.
Right. Well, Donna, I know she had an experience where she describes something she terms wolf boy, because what she saw was somebody dressed in clothes walking down the street, or a road, should I say. And the same thing can be said for the, is it the Germantown, Ohio? There was a case, Stephen King based his.
Defiance, Ohio.
Defiance.
Yeah.
Defiance, yep.
Right, yeah, Defiance, yeah. Same kind of thing was going on there. I mean, there's a great a podcast called Where Did the Road Go? And it has all kinds of interesting guests on about all kinds of paranormal stuff. But there's one guy who spent, years, well, a couple of years, like sifting through really, really old accounts of Bigfoot. But as he's doing this, he keeps coming up with these accounts of things that are wolf-like creatures too. And what's interesting is that several of these accounts have these things that, with torn clothing on.
There's stories that have came out of Shenango Valley in Pennsylvania,
right,
where like a wolf boy, and that's a very interesting case.
So the land between the lakes, there's the legends about it being some sort of a werewolf curse on a certain family or something like that.
Like a werewolf clan.
Yeah.
And the land between the lake areas.
Yep.
That goes all the way back
yeah, I've heard.
to prior to the American Revolution. That there was a clan that came from Europe, and they stayed in the area, and they basically were feeding off people in the park. I mean, even when Dave and I were down there, we were told, don't tell anybody you're from out of town. Don't stay at the local hotels, because you might end up being missing or eaten, by this clan. I mean, it was very well known.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's creepy, right? I mean, I know there's an investigator, like Hannah, boots on the ground guy down south here that I've spoken to a few times. He's written a few books. Paul Sinclair, have you heard of him?
The name's familiar, yes.
It's come up.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he's got a lot of experience dealing with what's called the Flixton werewolf. Now, interesting, guys.
Yeah.
What I'll tell you about this is that he actually, when he gets to the nuts and bolts, he disagrees with me on this issue. That's okay. Everyone, whatever. We all lean in one direction or another. But I mean, the thing is, but ironically, guys, he will tell you himself. He will tell you, be very clear about it, that the longer he hangs around these little villages where most of the activity seems to be centered around, he'll start getting some really weird vibes off the people there. They'll start acting shady. They'll start talking about very old families and this type of thing. So not too different from the kinds of things that I guess you're talking about, maybe the LBL, and it's hinted at elsewhere.
Oh, are you there?
No, we lost the call.
Oh, we lost our UK. Oh,
but he's right. There's all sorts of rumors about the certain rituals and ceremonies that certain groups of people involve themselves in.
We're going to give him a few minutes there to see if he calls back.
I wanted to ask him also if he can't hear us through the phone. Obviously, I was going to ask him about Yorkshire. If you're looking at Yorkshire on the map and you go due east to Burlington, and then you go about, you just look up northeast and you see the stretch of forest along the coast. That stretch of forest is said to be like Skinwalker Ranch. Same, it's almost identical activity. I was going to see if he had spent any time there or heard anything about that. But the Flixton one is really, that's a key one.
That's very interesting.
We need to take a trip there so bad.
That'd be great.
I mean, they're seeing cats, and coyotes, and wolves, things that they've never had there. They're seeing those. People are seeing them. And
I think the last wolf in Great Britain was killed off in like the early Renaissance or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's amazing. I mean, I know this sounds stupid, but you guys watched Jurassic Park, right? I think it was the first one. Remember when Jeff Goldblum says, "Life happens"?
Yeah.
Right.
I think about that a lot because what they're saying in there is pretty accurate.
It's
It
yeah.
finds a way. Life finds a way.
Yeah.
Finds a way.
All right. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it back.
Who's next up on the? Is it Brian or
Uh,
Dev?
well,
Are we going California or Pennsylvania?
we'll make it whoever gets here first.
Amy Wilson. Jamie says hi, and she loves you.
Whoever calls in first, we get. Yeah, because I think Deb was
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Brian got it.
Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hello,
Hi, caller.
How you doing, guys?
Brian. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I just want happy Halloween, guys. And I just wanted to tell you our cat Callie Jody was defending you. She jumped up on the screen and she was attacking the Dogman, so you're safe.
There we go. All right, there we go.
Loyal.
Feline power.
Saved by a wild cat.
Hey, just one thing I wanted to say real quick is, to a lot of the listeners out there is people are seeing something. I don't know what they're seeing. They're seeing it in Ohio. They're seeing it in Pennsylvania. They're seeing something that shouldn't exist. I do believe somehow, some way, these creatures are out there, Jody.
Oh, there's something to it, man. I'm telling you, it seems like, I mean, if you go back and you look at the history of the sightings, just the past 10 years, okay, that each year it's growing the amount of sightings, that's coming through. It used to just be, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, and Kentucky, but it's West Virginia, it's Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Utah, Illinois, California. I mean, places that never had sightings 10, 20 years ago. And it just seems like the population of these things are growing. And it's the new cryptid, man. I'm telling you, they're outdoing any other cryptid right now with the amount of sightings. It's crazy.
And for those of you who don't know who Brian is, Brian, could you tell the folks who you are?
Well, I'm also, a member of the NADPF here in Pennsylvania. I run a research group, the Center for Cryptozoological Studies, and we research everything from Bigfoot to Dogman, obviously, and to these creatures that they call gargoyles. Basically, big cat sightings, pretty much anything under the cryptid realm.
And if anybody needs any information about cryptid, get a hold of Brian, because he's got one of the largest libraries of documentation, newspaper articles, reports, magazine articles, anything. This guy can get it to you. I'm not kidding. He's got I'm jealous that, he's got all this stuff and I don't.
Well, you gave me some stuff too, Joe.
Well, I gave you a lot of it. I gave you a lot of it, but you have it out. My stuff, my stuff's packed up, and I keep it preserved. So if I guess I have to bail out real quick, my stuff's coming with me.
Well, hey, like I said, I'd like to get you here one time just to check it all out. Believe me, invitation's always open.
Me, we're going to get up there. I want to check out Shenango Valley so bad. And see the stuff that's going on up there. We hear, there's Brian, what's going on, and why, we haven't had a chance to get out there to do a lot of stuff. And it's going to benefit the Dogman field tremendously. And we'll get up there, and we'll get up there. That's definitely one place we want to check out.
Yeah, we want you up there. Just recently, we got 2 order reports, and one of them was of the dog boy, who that you talked about before. That was the episode that was on
Monsters and Mysteries.
Mysteries, yeah.
And we also received another actual a drawing from 1997 up in the Mercer County area, which is, you know, real close to the Shenango Valley Lake. So it is a very weird place. And you're also talking about like clans, you know, possible clans of werewolves. There's also like a rumor of a so-called clan in the around the Jamestown area, close to there. So I mean, I can't, you know, it's a rumor. So
you know, this whole thing with transformation, you know, I'm sorry, I can't buy it, but I can buy the supernatural of it, you know, and maybe somehow supernatural wise, if man can turn into beast, you know, anything's possible, and like, you know, life finds a way, you know, but you know, if so, then, you know, we're dealing with a whole different structure of Dogman. You know, I mean, right now we can look at 3 different groups. You know, you have the flesh and blood, you have the supernatural, and you have the extraterrestrial part, you know, of Dogman. And like I said, it all goes back to Anubis, where he represents all 3. You know, it's, you know, it's like, you know, you have Bigfoot where you have different breeds of it. You know, same thing with Dogman. There's just different breeds of it. You know, and every day we're finding something different about it, and that's why I find so fascinating is that, you know, this whole subject is a learning process. You know, you're constantly learning more and more about it,
and this is how we can work together and find out more. Exactly. All this activity.
Yeah, one of the you know, kind of the strange things that, you know, that happens up around here, or some of the cases we've taken, is these creatures seem to run in or very near to power substations. Now, I know that sounds weird, but if you are talking, you know, I'll throw out the possible interdimensional, like your one, you know, like your one caller said. Hey, you know, if let's say that they, you know, they're flesh and blood, but let's say that somehow that they could be an interdimensional being, and I'm not saying one way or the other that they are. Would they need to have some kind of an energy, or to be around some kind of energy to try to go through these portals, or whatever you want to say?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense, because if you see, you know, like in ghost hunting, you know, they're able to use the energy from the equipment to bring themselves forward and bring themselves out, you know. And it's the same thing with odd, even a lot of the Bigfoot stuff, you know, are around high voltage areas, you know. So, you know, there again, you know, these things could be, you know, coming from a different dimension, or, you know, coming through a portal. I mean, anything is possible. I mean,
yeah, right now
it's a strange world we live in.
It's completely open.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. I think that, you know, we research all of these cryptids as if they are a flesh and blood entity in the woods. But yeah, we definitely have our doubts, but we are actually looking for physical proof of a living being. So, but you know, could there be something with it? Could there be something else with it being an interdimensional? I mean, being a flesh and blood being. I think there's a missing piece of the puzzle in all these cryptids. I really believe that.
I agree with you.
Oh, there's something. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Adam Davies said hello.
Oh, tell Adam I said hi, and also tell Donna Wells-Fink I said hi. I miss seeing her. She's awesome. Great researcher, both of them.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, keep us posted, Brian. You know, anything new that goes on up there. You know, like I said, if you get any of those new drawings, send them to us. Check it out. And stuff. And yeah, definitely keep us posted. And, you know,
we'll see Fred this weekend, actually.
Yeah, Fred and
you will. Yeah, you will.
What's the other guy's name from MUFON?
John Venture will be there.
John Venture.
John Venture, yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they sat next to us last year.
Yeah.
So,
I told him to say hi to you guys, and he's looking forward to going up there.
It's great information. It's hard not to just keep stealing their time and talk to them all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Fred's a wealth of information. I mean, I've been, we've been blessed to be able to work with him, and we've learned a lot from him.
Yeah, Fred's a good guy. I like Fred.
Mm.
I like Fred. All right, brother. I appreciate you calling in, and definitely keep us posted.
All right, thanks. You have a great Halloween, guys.
You
Great
too, buddy.
Man.
Cheers. Thanks, Brian.
Okay, bye.
So Arcane Life, who we heard from the UK, very well spoken. He has to run. He has to get to bed. As you know, he's 6 hours. He's 6 hours ahead of us. So
Thank you, buddy.
he's winning
Thank you.
the night, and we're gonna hook up with him again and get some more.
It'll be
We have
good.
some more time. We we should get a live UK podcast. I mean, we've got a team over there. We've got at least 20 researchers in the UK.
Yeah.
And there are more, and it's just growing. But they have a lot of really interesting stuff to talk about. Oh, what's going on over there?
Hello,
Is this our next?
Dev. Hold on a second, okay? Hold on.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. All right. Are you
Hey,
there?
welcome to North American Dogman Project.
Yeah.
All the way from California.
Dev
Hi.
is our California regional director for Region 1. She is our MUFON liaison, if you want to say that.
Yep.
She's a researcher, very well knowledge in the Dogman phenomenon. We're glad to have her aboard. So how are things going, Dev?
Good. I know it's a little late for you guys, being a weekday and everything.
Oh yeah, I would have been in bed an hour ago.
It's okay. We're
Oh,
always
no,
up for
well,
Dogman. Always up for
I can
Dogman.
make this short.
No, take your time.
No, I just wanted to say that, I was the one that interviewed the man that took those Dogman pictures up in the Jedediah Forest, just to let everybody know. And it was kind of amazing to see those pictures and be able to talk to the guy who took them. And I actually checked out the metadata to make sure it wasn't photoshopped or anything, and everything looked square. And I was really pleased to know that, I was looking at original photos. But Dave had actually passed on a case that happened in Fresno in June of this year. And I did interview the guy, but there was also another investigator of ours out here that also interviewed him. I haven't had the chance to follow up with him to find out any additional information that he'd got. But basically what happened was a guy and his cousin went out by a bridge near the Kings River in Fresno, California on June 6th of 2018, around 9 p.m. They had heard about Bigfoot in that area and wanted to go out and investigate. So it was about dusk, and his cousin was down by the river. Now they did have flashlights, binoculars, some night vision with them. And as the witness was up by where the car was parked, he ended up seeing movement up on some the hills behind him. And so he actually saw something running on that ridge, and it was coming down fast, he said. He said he could see the outline. Now, this is around dusk, so he's not having a lot of visual as far as clarity. I mean, it was dusk, and there's still some kind of light. So he said that he at first thought it was Sasquatch, because that's basically what they were out looking for. And he said he could see a set of eyes looking at him, and they were like reddish in color. And then it actually was on all fours. It really kind of remained on all fours, he said. It then turned and went back up the hill. he said it raised its arms to grab onto the terrain, and it did it twice and reached the top. He said it was like amazing how quick this thing moved. And this hill was like at a 90-degree angle. It was pretty steep. He was kind of shocked. So it did crawl up, and it did turn its head. And he said that's what he could see there. It had a snout and ears.
Wow.
So he was pretty much in kind of a shock to see what he was seeing, and was really trying to process what he saw. And then he didn't even call out to his cousin because he was in shock at what he was seeing, because he said it wasn't a bear, it wasn't a coyote, it wasn't anything that he has ever seen. So, but this duration of the sighting was, pretty quick. It was probably less than a minute. And that's pretty much what I ended up finding out. He did say that he went back the next day. I think it was the next day, and he saw a footprint, and he took a picture of it. Now this is dry. Fresno is very dry. They don't get a lot of rain or whatever, and this was in the summertime, so it was kind of a gravelly dirt. But he did take a picture of it, and he put his cell phone next to it. So you could kind of see, I measured my cell phone, and you could see that this thing was probably 8 to 9 inches long.
Jeez.
So, but anyway.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Send that to me.
Now, you know what's interesting? He's in the chat room right now. He's Cryptid 559. He said, yeah, Dev's talking about me.
Oh, perfect.
So I sent him I asked him to send the pic to my phone if he could, so I could show it.
Okay. Yeah.
So Cryptid 559, send me the pic of the print if you could to that phone number.
Now, Dev, I got a couple questions for you.
Isn't that cool? That's really cool.
Isn't that great?
Now,
wow.
You've been with MUFON for quite a long time. You were part of the STAR team.
I am. I'm currently the Assistant State Director.
Okay.
And for Northern California, and I'm also on the STAR team, and I'm also on another team called the SAT team, which is the Special Assignment Team.
The elite of MUFON. So what is?
I've done about 800 cases.
Mm-hmm. So what is MUFON's view when it comes to Dogman?
Well,
because I know MUFON has interest in the subject.
There are members of MUFON that are interested in cryptids, but basically MUFON wants to stick with, UFOs and entities related to UFOs, what we would probably call ETs or aliens. But their database really kind of goes, it's really for sightings.
Right.
And so all the questions that they ask witnesses is geared for craft. There is a few things about abduction, but alien abduction. But it's really geared towards UFOs. Here's the thing. I've been researching and investigating UFOs for decades, and I always had an inclination that, hey, these cryptids, there's something similar to the whole UFO phenomenon as well, in my opinion. And that's why I really got involved in, doing research on the Dogman.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, because I knew MUFON had some, let me rephrase that, not MUFON itself, but members of MUFON, had a lot of interest in cryptid stuff, and when it comes to the Bigfoot Dogman, and I'm hoping that they take a serious look at it, because there's there's a possibility that this thing could be extraterrestrial, because of some of the reports that we've gotten, seems to back up that theory that they may be extraterrestrial.
Yeah. Yeah. My personal belief is exactly that. They are extraterrestrial, actually interdimensional, may I say, because I really think that they're coming in and out of here like through portals. So that would of course point to being interdimensional. So,
right.
Extraterrestrial, the word extraterrestrial really means other planets. I mean, but then again, through travel through dimension, actually you go to other worlds. So, it's kind of like both.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That is.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you calling in, clarifying that. Well, we got the picture here.
Look at that. Look at that print.
Yeah. Wow.
Jesus.
Go ahead. And
Was he able to send that through?
Yeah.
Here it comes. That's what we're looking at. I'm going to try to a little bit different angle. I don't want the light to affect it too much. So you can see
put it in. Try putting it into like a negative filter. Do you have that on your phone? If not, you can send it to me. I can do it. And do like a negative, and the negative could probably bring out the print itself a little bit better.
Yeah, where he's pointing, right under where he is pointing is where the claw marks start. So that shows you so again, if you're looking at it, we'll get Jody to run it through some filter, but where he's pointing is where the claw marks are. And you can see the heel goes all the way back to even below the phone, just a little bit lower than the phone. So that's a huge track.
That's the type of print I always expect with the Dogman when they talk about a 400-pound, 500-pound thing. It's got to have a big old pad.
It has to. The thing of it is, the pad. I don't think the pad would be, or the foot itself would be narrow. It would be wide.
Yeah.
Because because it would have to support that weight. So, all right. Well, I appreciate it, Dev, and please keep in touch. And
you know it.
Yeah, definitely. Get some things going here. Like you said, when we get the Utah, getting ready to get to Utah, you'll be there for that 100%.
Pretty good. Thanks
Awesome.
for sending that picture. It's
And
amazing.
stuff. So, yeah, I think we're gonna get the one guy calling in now, the one that
Okay.
who you talked
Well,
about.
thank you, you guys. You guys have a great night.
You too. Please keep in touch. You always do, but you know what I'm
I'm
saying.
gonna bring you on. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, then.
All right.
All right. Good night, you guys.
You take
See
care,
you,
Dev.
Have a good
Thanks.
night.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Well, the gentleman she was just talking about is Javier. And here he comes. That's his photo that he took. Javier, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Yep. Loud and clear.
Yeah, so she actually took the report, and another one of your guys' investigators took the report also.
Nice.
Um,
So are you a member yet?
yes, I actually joined after my incident, my encounter.
Excellent. I'll check that. Matter of
Back
fact,
in June.
Excellent. So tell us about that track, man. That's crazy.
Well, what happened after the encounter, we went back the next day because, like Dev said, it was in the evening at dusk when I saw this creature. And so we went back the next day to see how close it was. And, we didn't, I can see claw marks on the side of the mountain here, on the mountainside, because I remember exactly where it grabbed on, and you can see the claw marks on there. But the problem is that it was on private land, and I couldn't get over there. Dang it!
Right.
And I didn't want to trespass and get in trouble. But you can see it from where we're at. It was on a turnoff.
next to a bridge. So we're alongside the road. And where that track is, it's all compacted. It's right next to the road. So whatever made that print, that's a week later. That print came from a week later. We went back there a week later and we found that print, that same area. So
Yeah,
It's got to be big and heavy.
that's about the best I'm gonna get right there.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, we got the, we're working with the image to try to get it here. I'm just checking.
So this thing was massive.
Yeah.
When I saw it, it was massive. It was
Now you
at
can see
least
it
8 to
really
10
good.
feet
You
tall.
can see a little better there, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was,
Yes, that's
yeah,
a
it
good
was,
print. I mean, that's definitely not a bear. I mean, it's huge.
no, it's not a bear. We hardly see bears down, and it's in the lower level. It's just at the beginning of the foothills.
Sure.
It's on the valley floor. So,
Yeah.
you guys still there? I can barely hear you guys.
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, it's by the Kings River. It's by a bridge, and it's by a rock quarry. The rock quarry is abandoned.
Is there like a water source by there, by any chance?
Yeah, it's the Kings River. It runs right by
the Kings River. Okay.
Yeah, and there's a dam up the road, about 10 miles up the road.
Is there any, what's the wildlife like there? I mean, does it seem like there would be much food source or?
Do you have a lot of deer?
Oh yeah, there's where I saw the creature on the hillside, that's a cattle farm.
Oh man.
Wow.
Have you talked to the ranchers?
Yeah, and those ranch, I can't find, nobody around there wants to talk.
Sure.
Oh man.
I have a question for you. I'm looking at the print. Did it have 4 toes or 3?
See, on that picture, it shows 3.
But it did have 4.
It did have 4.
Okay,
You
yeah.
barely see the 4th one.
Yeah, my God, that's huge.
This thing was huge. It was massive. When I first saw it, I thought it was a Sasquatch because it was throwing its arms up in the air.
Wow.
And I saw all the muscle on the arms. Like,
did it look like it was upset or?
Yeah, I think. Well, the first time I saw it, I'm sorry, I'm kind of nervous because I'm replaying it in my head. Sorry.
No, we totally get it. We get it, man.
When I first saw it, I thought it was a Sasquatch, and I thought it was sneaking up on us because it didn't make a sound at all. No sound. The only reason why I saw it is because I turned around. I had my night vision on my chest, and I had lowered it to see my cousin, and he was kind of behind me, and the mountain range was behind us. So I turned around to see what he was doing, and I noticed all the movement with the arms. And when I noticed that, I looked up, and it was a huge, massive creature. And I thought, well, man, I'm seeing Sasquatch. I'm seeing the Sasquatch because it's so massive. And I saw the arms, and it had like human arms, and it had a bunch of muscles. You can see all the muscle. And then it kind of took off on all fours along the mountain range, and it leaped back up. It grabbed onto the side of the mountain, and it grabbed onto the side, and it leaped up, did it again. I was able to see the hands. It has human hands type, but I didn't see the claws. I didn't see a tail. So at the second time, when it grabbed onto to the side of the mountain, it turned its head. And that's when I saw the snout and the pointy ears. And I go, wait a minute. That's not Sasquatch. What is this? I've heard of Dogman, but not around here, like California, not very many encounters, more in the Midwest.
Sure.
And I go, man, that had a canine head. It had a dog head, like a German Shepherd. Wow. And this thing was massive. I can see the legs. I can see the back, go down to a V shape. This thing was muscular. I'm going to estimate the chest part about 4 to 5 feet wide.
Wow. No kidding. Jeez.
It didn't make a sound. Even though it was moving, like it moved quick and it was fast.
For a size comparison.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, for a size comparison, this poster is 4 foot wide.
Oh, right? I'm sorry. I'm not looking at the monitor.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
More for the audience.
Well, I saw that statue you guys made.
Yeah.
That 7-footer. Nah, it's bigger, way bigger than that.
Really
Cool.
scary.
I'm sorry. It's cool.
I mean, there is this is terrifying and everything, but at the same time, not gonna lie, it's exciting, right? It's
yeah, definitely.
Holy hell, werewolves could be running around, and they may not even be flesh and blood. They could be interdimensional, supernatural.
Right.
It's just crazy to think, but it's can't deny it. It's exciting as well.
Yeah, and they didn't make a sound. I'm gonna tell you that it didn't make a sound. It was stealth.
Crazy. How does something that
No
big?
sound. It was jumping around, moving, crawling up the mountain, and nothing. My cousin didn't even turn around. He didn't even turn around, and I didn't touch him because I wanted to keep visual on him. I didn't want to lose sight of this thing. I want to remember everything.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, and
That's pretty-
yeah, so it didn't make a sound at all. It was all black. And one thing that I don't know if I told Deb or the other investigator, was when I saw the thighs, the muscular thighs, I noticed they look like it registered in my head like ripped shorts.
Like what?
Ripped shorts.
Like the Hulk.
Yep.
Like it was wearing shorts?
Like it was wearing ripped shorts.
Oh, Jesus.
And I go, man. So I don't really tell that part because then my family already thinks they don't exist. And I go, I'm telling you they exist. And if I say ripped shorts, they're really not gonna believe.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
We've heard that before. The one down in Kentucky was wearing a white shirt.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
And we had another one that was the Erlanger, Kentucky sighting. It was wearing a ripped white shirt, your typical Van Helsing style werewolf. But she said it looked like it was wearing a white shirt. Of course, you saw it at a minimum distance. But yeah, she stated even the drawing, I think she had a shirt on it.
Yeah.
So again, it's open. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
No. And
Or maybe like similar to like Sasquatch, maybe somebody in, I don't know, more in rural communities, you have clothesline outside, you have clothes on there, and if like Sasquatch or whatever, they're watching us all the time and they notice that we're wearing clothes, so they might just toy around with it and grab some stuff off the line and see if they can put it on. I also thought about that too, but I didn't think that Dogman would be that.
Yeah.
So
I didn't notice on the upper chest, like if it had, it was all black. That's all I remember. But I can see the outline perfect. Like,
and as big as it is, there's no way it could wear it. You'd have to have a bed sheet,
right,
to cover that thing.
Normal human clothes wouldn't fit it.
It had its swimming trunks on. Nice crunchy sofa. Swimming trunks.
Sasquatch. That area. It's known for Sasquatch. That's why we're out there. We're doing sky watching also. But when I saw this, it's like, wow. It's like both. I haven't seen Sasquatch yet. We did find a print of a Bigfoot. It's huge, and it's on our channel, Cryptid 559 on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
We did a video on my encounter of Dogman. It's on there, and then we just uploaded one that for Sasquatch. We found some structures, and we found a huge print, so that's on there. You guys can check it out when you have time.
Oh, definitely will.
Sure thing.
Yeah, we were out there last night. Me and my other friend, we went back to the bridge last night. We hadn't been over there in about a month. And this was about 8:30 last night. And we felt and we saw glowing yellow eyes down by the bridge.
Wow.
It's out there. It's still there. I know it's still there.
Get your camera ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to take GoPros and
there you go.
Infrared, night vision and dash cams, and we're starting to get all our gear.
That's really cool,
even thermal's getting to the point it's getting
affordable.
Affordable. Just the Scout you can get for right around $5.99, and you can get the one for your cell phone or even for your iPad. Apple puts one out, real nice one for right around $400, and Blair also puts one out for like other basic phones for right around $299 that work just as good.
Man, that FLIR Scout, you can sit in the passenger side of a car and just scan the fields, So I don't know how. I know your situation out there, the topography, I guess, is much different.
You'll see it on the video.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll definitely check that out for
Yeah,
sure.
man. Wow, great work.
And yeah, last night the eyes that my friend saw, the yellow glowing eyes, he said they were about 12.5 inches apart from each other.
Wow.
Jesus.
So I go, are you sure they were 12 inches? You're telling me they're that wide apart. You know what you're saying, right? That's a big hit on that thing. He says, yeah, and we went back in where he saw it. We passed by the bridge because he had a big old spotlight. And it was right underneath that turnoff where we were parked. So he goes, dude, I just saw it. I know I saw it. They were looking at us. I go, okay, I'm going to make a U-turn. We're going to go back. I'm going to do it again. We made that U-turn. We did the same thing, flashing, and they weren't there anymore.
Scary.
Yeah, it's there. We know it's there. And there's other incidents that stuff that's happened to us in that area that led up to the actual encounter. But I mean, it'll take a while for me to tell you all the stories.
All right. Well, thanks, man, for sharing all this with us.
Yeah, Javier, that was great.
Yeah, and if we find any more tracks, we'll send them up to you.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. Great work. Really,
yeah,
really
thank
great
you.
work.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it, brother. Thanks for
all right,
coming in,
man.
You
guys have a good one.
All right, you do the same.
Thank you, man.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
And I think that's it on people who are asking to call in.
We are 2.5 hours in, folks. Nice. Well done.
Yes.
That was
really
fun. Those were some
cool.
great calls we got.
This just makes us want to keep doing this more and more and more and more.
Yeah, I think
Chico Navas said.
Yeah, I think we should get that psychic medium to see if she can channel
Let's do
Dogman.
Do it, man.
Let's get somebody here and do it. We'll do it live, man. We'll do it.
Yeah, and that way you all can ask questions.
And there's something else I'd like to do is get like Victor Peruta to come out to a location where there's been a sighting, because there are some mediums that can pick up on trace energy. Like if an animal has been through an area, they can pick up that trace energy and tell you what it is. So if we could do that, film it live on site out in the woods.
That'd be fantastic.
And see what we can come up with there too. But yeah, doing one live like right here and that would be great.
Yeah, and have her. Yeah,
might as well. If we're talking paranormal, supernatural.
I mean, there's something
we gotta.
I mean,
try everything. Like Brian said, we're all like kind of geared up to go find something in the woods that's flesh and blood.
Yeah,
we got to reinvent.
2 years ago, when
reinvent our
when we started this, it was definitely flesh and blood.
I was sold on it.
Yeah, I was sold on it, and now, it's to the point, with it's extraterrestrial, it's supernatural.
There has to be a unifying theory.
Yeah,
we got to find that keystone that brings it all together.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll try anything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep.
Well, let's wrap it up.
All right, guys.
Thanks
Appreciate it.
Thanks everybody
Thank you.
out here in the chat.
Thank you for your support. Definitely.
This is great. This is amazing. It's over the top. Cool. So
happy Halloween.
Until then, happy Halloween.
Have a good night.
Yep. Take care.
Take care. We'll see you